Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, March 8th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now, I think you've probably noticed right off the bat that this is not my normal background. This is not the office in Boston. As a matter of fact, I'm not in Boston. We just wrapped up our area meeting in Largo, Florida. We had a great crowd here today. For those of you who were in attendance, thank you so much for taking the time to turn out. We had a phenomenal turnout yesterday down in Estero. Thank you again to those members who turned out. And when I wrap up filming this, Frank Valeri, Leo Delaney, and I are getting in the car, driving north about 2 hours up to Lady Lake, and we will hold our area meeting in Lady Lake tomorrow. Again, this is our first meeting that we have ever held in the greater Orlando area. So we're excited and we're very hopeful that we'll have a great crowd. But just a quick update on some activity happening in Boston. Last week, or actually over the past couple of weeks, we've been reporting on legislation that was included in Governor Healy's municipal finance and municipal reform bill that was filed late last year. Just had a public hearing a little bit over a week ago. Our main focus in that piece of legislation has been on the creation of a retiree commission that would focus on retiree health care. But in addition to the creation of that special commission, there's also language relative to post-retirement work for public retirees going back to work for the state government or a city or town in Massachusetts. And it goes without saying that this is something that we always keep a close eye on. We have many members who have gone back to work part-time in public service in Massachusetts. This has been a pretty routine thing for many, many decades. And it's something that has been a tremendous service to city and town and state government in Massachusetts, particularly over the last, say, 4 years, through the pandemic and now into the aftermath of the pandemic, when many public sector jobs remain unfilled, folks are retiring, and quite honestly, there's a struggle to find qualified applicants to backfill those positions. So there has been an increased reliance on public retirees returning to the workforce on a part-time basis. And I think all of you know that just 2 years ago, we were successful in increasing the number of hours that public retirees are allowed to work. It used to be 960 hours, and it was increased 2 years ago to 1,200 hours a calendar year. 1,200 hours a calendar year is roughly 23 and a half hours or so a week. So it's truly a part-time job. Contained within the governor's municipal reform bill is language that would create a special waiver system that's designed to help municipalities fill open positions that they're having trouble hiring or recruiting full-time candidates, but to fill those positions with public retirees. And that there would be a process that would be put in place where a municipality could apply to the state government, to the Executive Office of Administration and Finance, known as A&F, for a waiver for a position. And this is sort of a new concept. It's something that we're keeping close tabs on. What is important to us is that our members are allowed to work and that there is some uniformity and consistency with these laws. Quite frequently, we'll receive outreach from members who are either working or interested in going back to work, want to know what the rules are. Because the last thing anyone wants to do is run afoul of the rules and at the end of the year suddenly be faced with having to pay part of your pension back. So it's important that whatever these rules happen to be, whatever the laws happen to be governing post-retirement work in the public sector, that there's uniformity and consistency to it, and it's not some system that could be conceived as favoritism or just simply politics as usual. So we are keeping a close eye on this proposal. Now, at the hearing last week, State Inspector General Jeffrey Shapiro testified on various aspects of the bill. Most of his testimony was focused on the reforms that are being made to the procurement process, but he also raised some concern regarding the post-retirement waiver process. And some of those concerns were related to the length that someone could go back to work, that a temporary waiver would be one thing versus someone going back to work indefinitely while still receiving their full pension and a full salary. So he threw caution into the wind, so to speak, with the Municipalities Committee, asking them to cautiously proceed forward. Now, we will be working with the governor's office, with the legislative leadership, with the leadership of the Municipalities Committee, to make sure that our members are well represented. Because again, we have a number of members working in post-retirement jobs. You are providing an essential public service in many cases, particularly at the local level. A number of cities and towns band together, have various job sharing where a retiree will work for multiple municipalities, providing an essential service that they just can't fill that job with someone else. So we wanted to highlight this. As this legislation moves forward, and we will certainly be reporting on it, whether it's in our weekly updates such as this, as well as within the newsletter. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up today. It's short and sweet, probably one of the shortest videos I've put out in the recent past. But we'll be back to you again next week when we're back in Boston with a new update. In the meantime, if you are viewing this email on Friday morning or watching the video on Friday morning, and you live in the greater Orlando area, we'll be in Lady Lake. The details are in your March newsletter. It's also contained in last week's message. But if you have the time, come on out and say hello. We're hoping for a great crowd. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.